Have you ever started from someone else's number? You moved, but nearly not far enough. And that small distance you refuse to travel just cost you everything. Let me explain. My name is Kali, Cussons, Africa's premium high performance thinking and strategic execution consultant. Now, let's talk about the story of Mama Chidema, Mama Joke, Mama Hassan. She's selling bananas and you stopped by, you pulled your car to buy and you said, how much is your bunch? She says, 2005. And you were taken aback because you had, from where you were coming, you had budgeted about 7.5 per bunch. And you said, can't you sell for 1.5? She said, okay, leave it at 1.7. You said, is that your final? She said, yes. She said, okay, give me 3 or 4. And you paid. And you go out thinking, wow, how will this woman cover? Things are so cheap here. How will she take care of her needs? Now, that is not just her story. That is also your story, my story. Most times, as consultants, you charge too low, and then you don't know that you were programmed to charge that much. That programming could be your need talking. It could be because of where you live, because of your expense level, you don't know what you are supposed to charge. You don't know what you are worth. Now, this is called adjustment bias. It happens not just in markets. It happens in the boardrooms. It happens with salary negotiations. It happens with business deals, relationships, and every single thing, every single day. So what do you need to know? You need to know how it appears in your business and in your relationship. The bias called adjustment bias, which is number 15 of our 225 plus bias series, you know, is a bias that every one of us most times encounter. We don't go far enough because there's an anchor where we are starting. It could be fear. You don't want to go too high and they say we're no more buying. You don't want to go too low and they say it's cheap. But you don't even know what low is. So adjustment bias is a tendency to start from an initial anchor point and make adjustment towards a final decision, most likely up. Yeah. Most likely coming down, maybe, but those adjustments are consistently insufficient. They're too conservative, too small, too close to the original anchor to reflect true independent judgment. But you don't know you were not actually the person making the judgment. So, in simple terms, you know you need to move. You move, but you stop too soon. It is always in our self-image, self-idea, self-esteem. You leave the anchor behind, but the anchor is still dragging you. Yeah, you leave that man or that woman. You say it's not my. I've grown beyond this, but you are still not moving far enough. The anchor becomes gravitational pull. It keeps you beating very close to where you are living. You think you've broken free. You haven't. You've simply moved to the edge of its shadow, the edge of the shadow of your breaking free. Now, the anchor doesn't have to hold you completely. It just has to hold you enough for you to feel you are free, enough to keep you on the price, enough to keep you undervalued, enough to keep you underdecided. Now, you need to come to a point where you say, enough. I am no more interested in this level of my life. I am made for more. You see that in business, a skilled consultant, very good. How do I know? I've been there. Very good in what he does. He's charging 1,500 per project, for 2 years, charging 2 million for project, for 1 year, charging 5 million for project. For a mentor tells him, you should be charging 8 million, you should be charging 30 million because of your expertise. Now, he or she knows the mentor is right, but he or she decides to adjust the price a little above, like with 250,000 or 1 million or 500,000. He or she moved, but didn't move far enough. Why? Because the 150,000 or 1.5 million or 2 million that he or she was charging before was the anchor. And even with full knowledge that her value was far higher, his value was far higher, his adjustment was timid, was tentative, was fear, and anchored on her comfort zone, on his comfort zone, rather than the actual market value of his or her worth. So every time she leaves so much money on the table, not because she lacks skill, but because adjustment bias kept her teeter to where she started. That is why sometimes starting solo is not always, sexy. You have to know where to start so that it's easy for you to scale. Okay, so most times starting solo is not humility. I love that when you cannot start, you should start. But know it that as things start improving, don't start using the money to do other things. Use it to better what you are doing. Use it to scale. Use it to become bigger. Use it to do more. Yeah. In relationship too, a man has been emotionally unavailable. A woman in his or her marriage or in relationship, or the spouse or the partner reaches out and demanding real change. I want you to change. You're not more giving me time. He or she hears the other person and said, okay, I will adjust. The person start coming home, 30 minutes earlier, 15 minutes earlier, just to say, oh, I'm no more coming back at night. Now, when the food is going on, he or she puts the phone down during dinner, but pick it immediately. Says, I love you, maybe a little more fun, but not good enough. He or she has adjusted, but the adjustment is insufficient. So, it is anchored to his old or her old behavior. So it just moved a little. So it's not a genuine, or rather, it's not a very big adjustment. It's just a tweak, a little tweak, slightly up. So rather than the general transformation that the partner is looking for, it was just a marginal adjustment. Yeah, the partner feels, yeah, she is trying. Let me just shut up my mouth. I'll be complaining too much. Now, this partner wanted to meet you at 8, but you move from 2 to just 3. So, adjustment is always like that, and you need to know. Now, adjustment without adequate distance from the original anchor is not change at all. It is appearance of change. It happens in our pricing, it happens in our relationship, it happens in our businesses, it happens in our system. So in relationships, the difference between the two is everything. Between 2 and 3 and 8 is too high. I don't want to, because the video is getting longer, I don't want to spend so much time on how to fix it. But the point is, know it, especially in your business, that you are hooked to your initial starting point. And that is what we discussed last, I think, anchor. Always define your destination before you adjust. Don't ask, how much should I move from here? Ask instead, where should I actually be? I've done this consulting for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Am I looking like my knowledge? Why is it that my result is not showing my intelligence? Yeah? So calculate your true target first, then move to it directly, rather than, inching away from the anchor timidly. In pricing, research the market, know your true value, set your destination, go there. The same Coca-Cola that is 200 or 300 or whatever in a roadside store is like 20,000 more I mean, 20,000% more, 10,000% more, 5,000% more in Transcorp, in a five-star hotel. So always know that sometimes you may need to change your audience. It may not always be that you are not good enough. It is the people you are talking with, you are doing with, they are no more your level. Now, how many times have you moved? Have you made a move, raised the price, set a boundary, made a change, and you call this growth, when in truth you had only taken one small step away from the starting point that was already wrong? So in adjustments, you must always understand that the bias will always come back to haunt you. It's the bias of almost. I'm almost free. I'm almost there. I'm almost priced correctly. I'm almost getting there. I'm coming. I'm almost healed. I'm almost transformed. Nearly cannot kill a bird, as we say in Niger parlance. And almost in business and in life pays almost nothing. Think about it today. If that woman that was selling banana asked for 7,000, the man would have given. The word rewards bold, accurate, well-researched repositioning, not timid shuffling from a broken starting point. So in your business, in your relationship, in your mindset, stop adjusting from where you are. Start moving toward where you should be. The distance, okay, between those two things is the distance between where you are and where you deserve to be. If you don't know this, a lot happens at the back end. So that Mama Chidima, Mama Joke, Mama Hassan, that her story is your story, is my story, until you decide it will not be mine again. And I encourage you to share this with everyone, every entrepreneur, every professional, every consultant, every leader, every public speaker who needs to make a bolder move today. Remember to check the comment section to register for Dr. Kali Cussons webinars and masterclasses. See you tomorrow.